hey, you'll be right on. I just brought him
That's
up
a
live.
typical hockey guy. He's on.
He's
right now.
on. He's the managing editor of Nights and Sports over at the Sun Journal. His name is Justin Pelletier, and he joins us from his cozy vacation right now. Justin, hello.
Cozy vacation retreat of home.
Yes. If I had my way, I would have been there all week long, my friend.
Staycation. Staycation.
I just
Staycation. Sure, yeah, that's the way it works.
Got stuff to do. That's how it works. Good holiday. Kids get everything they want.
Oh, Santa was very good to the kids.
Yeah, I'm really shocked by that. I really feel like they're left wanting often. So, yeah, it's really...
Now, was there any help from them on the shoveling, or were you all on your own?
Yeah, are they at that point yet?
They're helping shoveling means taking things from the snowbank and throwing it back into the driveway.
Yeah, there you go. Building a tunnel somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, you got to get something. You got to get them started somewhere.
Tunnel, the whole thing would collapse.
See, and here's the thing. Like, I used to do that when I was a kid. We had all the snow stuff going on, and it was, we had these big these snowplow things and snow piles all set up, and we had these elaborate tunnel systems and caves. How none of us ever died in a small avalanche is completely beyond me.
That's right.
Like, I'll never understand. And then there was that one episode of something where they're like, oh, if you go hide in the snow, you'll stay warm. So we'd just be, like, out there freezing in our little snow cave, like, if we just go hang out in the snow, we'll stay warm. No, that doesn't happen either. No, that's not. That also doesn't happen. So.
No, our neighborhood was notorious. We always had a big tunnel through the snow, too.
Yeah.
It was, I think it was a generational thing. What do you think, Matty?
I think you're 100% correct. I think that's exactly
probably
what it is.
Just as well that they lost that, so our kids are safe. Right?
Yeah, so our kids aren't getting lost in the snow or getting buried like the shovel out here that was buried out in the snow.
Did.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Justin, let's talk a little bit about big hockey game tonight. Edward Little coming off of a loss against Lewiston. St. Dom's coming off of a tie against Falmouth. Couple of squads meeting up here for a couple days after Christmas. What can we expect tonight from Edward Little St. Dom's over the NSBA?
Well, I think it's going to be an interesting matchup only because Edward Little, of course, under first-year head coach Norm Gagne. I say first-year head coach with the kind of a laugh in the back of my head because he's been around for 45 years. But Coach Gagne taking over at his alma mater this season, and he seems to have injected a little bit of enthusiasm into the program a little bit this year, and they started off with 3 wins in a row there before their first setback. So they're going to be pretty solid. And St. Dom's low numbers this year, which is something very I haven't said that about St. Dom's in ever, I don't think, but they had really low numbers this year turnout, but the numbers they have, the kids they have are very good hockey players, and they're a very solid hockey team. And as we saw when they battled Falmouth to a 3-3 tie the other night, and Falmouth, a little bit of a deeper team, but St. Dom's was able to scratch out that tie, and I think, St. Dom's top guns are as good as anybody else's, and I think that's going to keep them in a lot of games and win them a lot of games this year as well, so it should be a pretty decent matchup.
Talking with Justin Pelletier from the Sun Journal, managing editor of Nights and Sports.
Justin, I remember I go way back with Norm Gagne when he was at Gardner, and he really wanted to be the freshman football coach.
Yes,
and
true.
It's true, and he was kind of had hockey in the back of his mind. Gardner was just getting started, and they asked him to be the hockey coach, and as we know, the rest is history. But he started out wanting to be the freshman football coach and ended up being the hockey coach. So quite an auspicious beginning, and what a career.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And in fact, I mean, he started out, he was a football guy through and through until when he was in high school, his buddy's father was coaching the hockey team at Edward Little, and they didn't have a goalie. And they said, hey, would you ask your buddy if he wants to throw on the pads and play goalie? And that's how he actually got to start the sport at home. Is they threw him in the net with some goalie skates. And he was one of the first goalies ever to suit up for Edward Little back in the 60s. So it's a heck of a story.
Funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah. And of course, now back to his alma mater this year. His family's still living in Auburn, so it was a chance for him to kind of not have to worry about traveling to. Well, and the travel too. I mean, he was coaching at Scarborough, of course, which now has its home base in Lewiston. The Scarborough Red Storm play their home games at the Coliseum in Lewiston, so he would have to go meet his team in Scarborough from his home, which I believe is still Gorham. And then they would have to travel to Lewiston. Then he would have to accompany the team back to Scarborough, and then he would go home to Gorham. That made no sense.
Yeah.
So from a logistics standpoint, I think as much as a family standpoint, he's very, very happy to be back where he's at, from what I understand. And like I said, they're doing very well. He's always stressed academics as much as he has the sport of hockey. And I think that's also something that he's bringing to EL that is really kind of refocused and re-energized that team a little bit.
The last time I saw Norm, Mike Haley and I were at Longhorns, our typical Tuesday meeting, and Norm came in with his mom. He takes his mom out to lunch, and they always go to Longhorns. And he said he'd just taken the EL job, and he said it's great because I'm a little closer to home, and it won't be such a trip to take my mom out to lunch and whatever. So there's all kinds of pluses for him being back at his alma mater.
Absolutely. Well, and at least briefly, where Lewiston's been so strong the last couple of years, you bring that, I don't know if you want to call it star power or if you want to bring a little bit of notoriety back to EL. St. Dom's with its history and its drive for 25, and Lewiston now on the verge of catching St. Dom's number of championships, and now you've got the name and the EL back in the conversation, and with a good start, rightfully so. So all three Twin City teams right now are very much relevant in the hockey conversation.
Talking with Justin Pelletier from the Sun Journal.
Justin, have you seen anybody else that looks good? We know Lewiston was going to be good. Anybody else you've seen that caught your eye?
Well, I haven't. To be fair, with my job, I don't get out of the office very much. I rely very much on Will Kramlich to be my eyes and ears of hockey now. Of course, I follow it, and of course, I'm keeping tabs on things because I just can't get away from it. But from what I understand, Biddeford in the South has a senior-heavy team this year, and they're really gunning for it. And I really believe that they're going to give it a go. Falmouth, from what I saw against St. Dom's, is going to be a thorn in the South again as well. So I would say those are probably the two teams from the South, and maybe throw Cheverus into that mix. They're probably going to give some people some problems in the South, and then in the North. Lewiston is not quite as strong probably as they were last year, but they're still the team, and it'll be St. Dom's leading the charge to try and unseat them in the North. But Lewiston's still very strong.
How are things over on the girls' side?
That's the interesting. That's interesting. Lewiston is probably the team to beat right now, which is kind of a shock since St. Dom's is a two-time defending state champion. But St. Dom's suffered a couple of losses that have been really tough to overcome. They had two girls go off to prep schools. Rightfully so. They're very, very good players, and the next step for their career was to go to a school out of state, to a prep school, and so great for them. Unfortunate for the St. Dom's girls program, and they've had a couple of other players that, for one reason or another, are no longer on the team as well. So they're, as far as depth is concerned, they're still very good. They probably have pound for pound the best player in the state in Avery Letsikowski, and she's phenomenal. But the depth is going to become a concern, I think, for St. Dom's going forward. Lewiston has that depth, and it's a lot of freshmen and sophomores. So that should be a really fun one when they finally do meet on New Year's Day. St. Dom's and Lewiston boys and girls doubleheader on New Year's Day in the evening is going to be a fantastic doubleheader. On the girls' side, Dom's, Lewiston, and Greeley, again, another typical suspect in the north. And then in the south, Cheverus is very strong. Cheverus Kennebunk is a very strong team in the south on the girls' side as well. Falmouth's pretty solid, but I think Cheverus Kennebunk is probably your favorite in the south at the moment.
His name is Justin Pelletier. He's a managing editor of Nights and Sports over at the Sun Journal. He joins us today to give us a little preview of tonight's game between Edward Little and St. Dom's, which you can hear right here on the Z, starting at 7 o'clock, or mainsbigz.com. You can also watch the video stream from the Spectrum Healthcare Partners broadcast booth. Just go to mbrradio.com or mbr.org. It'll be right there for you. You can also subscribe to MBR Sport on YouTube. You'll be notified right on your phone when you go live, so you don't miss that one. That'll be live from the Norway Savings Bank Ice Arena tonight. Coach Wing and Caleb Lamb will be on the call for that one. Justin, thank you so much. Tell the girls I said thank you. They were very, very polite today. Very quiet. Good.
They had no choice. They were way out of range at this point.
All right. See, and that's always, sometimes that's what you got to do, right? Sometimes that's what you got to do.
Absolutely.
All right. Justin, thank you very much.
Thanks, Justin.
Have a great
got it.
rest of this year, and we'll talk to you next year.
You got it. Thanks, buddy. Take it easy.
Thank you. That's Justin Pelletier. He's the managing editor of Knights and Sports for the Sun Journal, previewing tonight's game between EL and St. Dom's and talking about the high school hockey ledger out there today here on the B-List Daily.
Falmouth Orthopedic Center.
Suspension handed out at the end of the matchup that ended in a 3-3 draw with Falmouth. A huge hit laid right as time expired in overtime by Pelletier. Ended up leading to some, well, fisticuffs as much as you're going to get at this level of high school hockey.
You hope you're not going to get too much of that.
When you've got a full metal grid over the face and everyone's wearing pads and essentially body armor, it makes it tough to get the scraps going at this level of hockey. But they were certainly sick of each other by the end of that game, and 2 aside suspensions were handed out to both teams.
Both teams skating very well up and down game so far.
Edward Little through neutral ice here off a face-off in the offensive zone for the Red Eddies. They're trying to gain back possession, could not, and it's skated away up ice by Jack Willett. Defenseman takes it to the right wing boards. He'll stop there and shuffle back to the point. Taken by Jaden Webster. He fires one down low, bounces off the end boards. Trying to get to it and flip it behind to himself was Hunter Hughes. Could not, and the breakout started ahead, but too far in front for Cassidy to skate up momentum with it.
He always had a little trouble connecting those little short passes, just a little off. If they start to connect on those, we'll get maybe a little more fireworks here.
Hasn't been too clean cut through neutral ice from Edward Little so far, as again they drop to their own blue line and try to build ahead back up ice. Eli Thibodeau jammed in front of his own bench area on the far side of the boards. Shuffled back into the defensive zone, and Alex Landry will spin one through center. Again, nobody home dressed in maroon. Robichaud on his horse, able to force a bad pass from Willett. Dumped in deep by Thibodeau, but again, St. Dom's able to deal with the danger well enough. Flipped in deep. And this one will end up bouncing in behind the net here. Taken there and flipped back out in front, and Fuchsa has no choice but to cover up, and he will hold on at the side of his net. Gaston Fuchsa, the exchange student from the Czech Republic, was tested quite a bit in that Falmouth game, but he has not had much to deal with through our first 3.5 minutes of this first period. Shot deflected in behind. They'll try to feed back up top, gets through everybody. Rister from the point, right pad save, deals with it. This one knocked into the offensive zone and sent all the way around in behind here. Pelletier in after it into the corner. Big hit delivered by Zach Pelletier. Through the right wing circle. Pelletier trying to sweep this one down low. Robichaud will scoop to it and shoots it around to the near side point. Kept in by Silly. He lost it, though, in his skates, and it's knocked away, and up ice comes Edward Little with Alexander. Into the right wing corner boards. To a side scrum. Pelletier wrestles away possession. Over to the far side. Pelletier bounces off a hit check laid, and this one will swing all the way around to the near side where Wolverton will deal with it. Up the near side. Jousting for it in possession there, and Chassis able to come up, and he'll lead a 3-on-3 rush up ice. Just shoots it in deep. Pelletier will stay in on the forecheck, but the rest of St. Dom's peeling off to get themselves a line change. Through neutral ice and skated down the left wing boards, Lewis trying to shoot this one in deep. Has it bounce back to his stick. Fletcher trying to deal with it from the corner, and he'll go back up top. Two-a-side battle there, trying to come up with possession. Colin Merritt trying to help out things down low, physical play, and again, Edward Little able to come up with possession. Landry fires this one in deep, and it bounces awkwardly off the glass. Fuchsa has to play it, and he's able to shoot it around. Kept in at the point, back down low. And St. Dom's will try and build again. Benjamin Gosselin, the junior defenseman, able to flip this one to neutral ice. 9:25 remaining in our first period. It's a 1-0 lead for St. Dom's, courtesy of a goal from Will Fletcher. That one came 1:14 in on a seemingly harmless shot, but we haven't had many scoring chances beyond that. Pushard comes in. He flips one in and scores again! Oh, my goodness! A knuckle puck with no power on it as it took a deflection, and Feldman simply missed it. Put his glove up, and he did not get the puck at all. Into the back of the net it goes, and two of the softest shots have both gone in for St. Tom's, and a 2-0 lead with 9:11 to go.
Yeah, I think he'd like to have both of those back. They just, like you said, a knuckle puck was a perfect description, just nothing on it, and It was up high. He reached his glove out, and it was like first baseman just missing the throw. Just missed it.
So this one sent in behind the net from Edward Little as they will try and search for not one but 2 goals to get themselves back in the game. And they do have a 2-on-1 here. Chances they come down low. Shot just snuck through the pads of Fuchsa but went wide. And a penalty coming up against St. Dom's for a big hit laid by Silly in the process. But Ben Cassidy somehow just denied by a little piece of the pad from Gaston Fuchsa, who has a wry look behind him and thanks his defense for the hard back checking.
It looked like it was in, and then there was an interference behind the net. So, lucky break for St. Dom's. It just caught the inside of the pad and didn't go anywhere.
So face-off will come on the far side face-off circle. Off the draw, shuffled back to the point for Robichaud as the power play develops. He fires one that misses just wide. It's a 2-minute penalty against Michael Silly, one of the 2 starting defensemen for the St. Dom's Saints. Shot from the point again, takes a deflection in front. This one didn't get on target, though, as Campbell let it fly. It'll come back to him at the left point side. Shuffles it down low. Feed right into the crease area, but Fuchsa cuts it off, and he will hang on.
It looks like EL's starting to get their feet under them a little bit now, and a little more consistent attack, finally. They've been kind of penned in, and finally now they're getting some good quality shots.
All the room in the world now to operate with, so we'll see what they're able to make with the extra ice and if they can perhaps put one in the back of the net. But St. Dom's gets a nice clear all the way down. 2-0 lead for the St. Dom's Saints. Edward Little starting behind their own net with it with Campbell. Down to 1:10 remaining in the power play time. Robichaud shuffles it on. Deflected into the zone, hammered away, and this one out to neutral ice. Perkins starting up for Robichaud. He will flip in, deflected off the leg pad there of Wolverton. Taken away by Kane, but he couldn't get in on target to fire a shot as Fuchsa came actively out of the crease to sweep it away by himself. Shot deep down the ice by Wolverton. Not happy about the little shove that he took there, but he will simply skate back to the bench and leave it alone. Change has been made. 4 skaters out there still for St. Dom's with 35 seconds still to kill. That'll help get a few more seconds gone. Ryan Davis flipping it all the way down. Feldman will leave it off there. Not been the strongest start for Ben Feldman, the senior netminder, who's let in 2 a little bit soft that he'd like to have back, but a lot of ice hockey still to be played here tonight.
Nightmare, huh?
Both of those shots just seem to handcuff him. You get the changeup sometimes when you're expecting the fastball, and by the time your glove moves into the position where you expect the shot to be, you've gone past it when it actually reaches you. Fired all the way down the ice and on target. Feldman will stop it and sweep it aside there, but we are back to 5-on-5 hockey. So a couple of good looks there, Dave, but as the penalty wore on, St. Dom's' penalty kill unit did what they do best, which is keep the puck out of the zone.
Yeah, I think, again, a little tentative. I don't know if it's because it's this rival game or what, but a little tentative.
Through neutral ice, and a shot on gave a little bit of trouble to Fuchsa. He will gather it in and simply choose to cover up eventually here. Hadn't got it in his glove yet, so the referee was letting a few more seconds go.
It was offside. They hesitated at the blue line, and both his wings went offside. I'm not sure what he had planned there. But
they'll bring it back out here to the face-off dot and give it a try from this side. Ben Cassidy in for the draw for Edward Little, but he loses out to Lewis, who will have it bounce back to him from Fletcher. Risks this one in deep. Feldman nearly fell backwards, and he has no choice but to cover up, and he gets a little snow spray to the face from Fletcher, which doesn't have Edward Little happy. That is a penalty call, and it's correctly whistled here.
Going to send him off.
You don't see that very often at the ice hockey level, especially when you get to the college or the pros. The old snow job to the face of a goalie is a pretty common tactic to try and stay in someone's
Brad
head.
Marchand, then they call it in the playoffs.
At the high school level, yeah, you're probably not going to get away with that one, especially when most of these guys aren't skating 25, 30 miles an hour where they have that kind of force generated. Feldman, though, again, did not look strong trying to stop that.
EL needs to try to take advantage of this if they can.
Second power play set up here. They'll go back to the point. Just kept in. No! As the referee reaches across and says that puck did fully cross the blue line.
Didn't look it to me. What about you? I thought that was still in.
Our position right here at neutral ice, it looked pretty close. Robichaud, I think, for his credit, did not help himself by taking so long. He was a little
pretty
lackadaisical, as if he had it well under control. And don't give the referee the option of blowing the play dead. Just make sure you easily keep it in. And Robichaud doesn't hustle after this one. Zach Pelletier in on the forecheck. And now we'll try and give chase over to the sophomore forward, who lends it up ice for Landry into the zone. Peels off back at the right point. Lost his edge as he tried to fire a pass in hot pursuit to the far side. Thibodeau sent down low for Perkins, who is not designed to be at that spot, but everybody's a little bit out of position right now. Perkins, backhand effort. Fuchsa gloves it down, no problem.
Nice save on that backhand. Backhand, for some reason, goalies have trouble with them. They don't see him very well, and suddenly they explode on him.
So this one will come to the left wing side circle. Only 31 seconds gone in the penalty to Fletcher. Off the draw, Edward Little will try and get set up. Back to the left point side. Morneau sends one towards the front after a bounce, but it ended up right on the stick of a St. Dom's defender and swept the length of the ice. It goes again. Back to pick it up, Landry. He will start from his own goal line under some pressure from Webster. And they're trying to break it out of the zone, but not having much success. Webster comes back and gets it, and he's able to break up another attack for Edward Little. They'll try and shoot it in deep this time. Get a nice bounce to them. Gosselin dispossessed towards the side of the net. Shot sealed off from Fuchsa. Behind for Edward Little. They've got two bodies down low. Swept back to the point, kept in, fired by Landry, blocked, and on the second effort, this one is all the way down by Wolverton.
Well, I tell you, this last power play, St. John's done a nice job getting the puck back down the ice and keeping it out of trouble.
They've done a very nice job of just being active at the neutral zone area, which is a little bit condensed here at the Norway Savings Bank Arena. And if you don't let the team skate cleanly through neutral ice, it makes it hard to gain access to the zone cleanly and get yourself set up, power play or not. Back to the point here. Tipped long, and a chance for Pelletier shorthanded. He gets in alone. Pelletier to the forehand. Glove save made by Feldman. He's stuck with it that time.
Oh, no, that.
Oh, Landry giving a little bit of muscle behind the play to it. Don't see a hand up from either referee as we'll simply play on here.
That was a three-bell save there.
Pelletier giving a little shove there to Campbell, another player he was jabbed up with, and they're still feisty with each other as they finally separate. When you only have two referees, though, at the high school level, you got a little bit more room to get away with things like that. Pelletier, though, delivers a little shot from behind in this game, very quickly getting chippy.
Pretty much hit everybody, hasn't he, so far?
We're back to 5-on-5. St. Dom's still a 2-0 lead, 3:52 remaining in the first period. Skating in, nice move to the backhand. Oh, look out, big hit. As finding him was Jack Ouellette, able to deliver contact and dislodge him from the puck. Fuchsa will just cover it up for the stoppage.
Good end-to-end action.
Say the rivalry is heating up with their first meeting.
I think they realize who they're playing now. If they weren't before, I'm pretty sure they are now.
Fletcher got things started, you could say, and Fletcher had just had to head down and I think retrieve a missing mouth guard as he comes back. He had our first goal to get us going, and then another one was fired in nearly accidentally by Lucas Pichard, who has simply developed some pretty good plays here. He had a key assist in the goal against Falmouth that tied things up at one point, and here putting one in on the score sheet as well. So Pichard, the freshman forward, a very young team for St. Dom's as well, as we mentioned, just their one senior, but they are certainly making the most of them. Fuchsa had to deal with another chance in front, and a good save to turn aside Ben Cassidy, who had another chance to deke to the backhand. He has looked very good, Dave, coming out of that left wing corner.
He's made the that really has been their offense so far, and this St. Dom's goalie's been equal to the task. He's made some big stops already.
There's been a lot of little scrums from the side of the net or flipping the puck on goal. They've had some shots from the point that have been redirected, but there's not been a lot of room to just skate in and shoot on Gaston Fuchsa for Edward Little, and that is one thing they will try and change to get some of those clean looks. Robichaud with a nice dispossess from his own end with speed. He's got a 2-on-1, but his backhand shot was blocked by Wolverton, who lost his stick. Kept it at the point. Morneau's shot ricocheted wide. Wolverton will retrieve his stick in the corner. Robichaud gets it past him. Dug out of the corner here by Alexander. Front of the net, swept just wide as Reed Chapman had an open cage gaping with Fuchsa coming out to challenge. Mac Pelletier comes up with the puck, and the St. Dom's captain starts it ahead for little brother Zach Pelletier. Sent corkscrewing to the ice from a collision there. Back on side for Edward Little. Robichaud comes in, fires. He lasered that one wide, blocker side. as he was a little bit under pressure. Didn't have the chance to really lean into the shot. Flips one on goal, does he? And it's dealt with by Fuchsa, who was not happy about Logan Alexander, or check that, Reed Chapman steaming in on him.
You know, EOS had two on-ones and just nothing's developed out of it. They've either shot the puck wide or not a good pass. So they need to do a little better job in those. You don't get many chances.
2:25 remaining, and those passes have just not been clean, but you have to credit the St. Dom's defenders for doing an excellent job of either sweeping the stick along the ice, the sweeping poke check, or just getting the shin pad in the way enough to deflect that pass off target. Out to neutral ice, Gosselin sent crashing to the ice. He's A-OK as Gunnar Winslow sent him tumbling down. Edward Little certainly has won the size battle here, just stepping on the ice in this game, but St. Dom's using their speed and agility to get around those hits when they've tried to come, and they certainly have a couple of players like Mac Pelletier who can hand them out with the best of them. Up to the left point, kept in there, shot deflected, bounced right back onto the stick of Cam Sturgis from the slot area, broken up, and Gosselin unable to backhand it out. Minute 45 remaining in the opening period. 2-0 for St. Dom's, but this has been a pretty even game in terms of possession. It's just been a couple of soft goals that have snuck in that have the Saints on top. Through neutral ice, Willett, nice move to get around his man, had to shovel it in deep though. He's upended, puck ends up in the corner. Jeremy Phelan racing after it. Willett looking to go back to the point. Gosselin waiting for it. Can't get it to him. They tried to go down low, but only found the presence of Gunnar Winslow, who wristed it out of play accidentally.
Yeah, really, you take away the two soft goals. It's been a pretty even first period.
So we've got a minute 17 to go here in our first period. Off the face-off, St. Dom's trying to get set up and maybe put a third goal in before the break. Silly feeds it along for Fletcher. Fletcher able to knock that one out of the left wing side boards, but it's Edward Little who takes control. Shuffled through by Aaron Perkins, dispossessed, offside, and they couldn't get that one figured out. Ben Cassidy not too happy with things as he's been doing his part to get the offense jump-started. He just hasn't had anyone who's been able to join him on a rush up ice and stay on side.
No, they little passes at center ice. They just haven't been very good, not productive, not on anybody's stick.
A little discombobulated on their zone entry, and that's because of the active stick work of the defenseman playing a tight point D at the blue line for St. Dom's. Nice move there as Cassidy dispossessed it, jammed back off his stick, and it's swept in deep. He's in on the forecheck. We're in the final minute of the first period. 2-0 St. Dom's on top of Edward Little. The Red Eddies at the point. Shot redirected by Cassidy, but he couldn't get it on target. Just snuck past the post, sent back out in front and fired just wide over the glove side. Breaking out, Fletcher gets to neutral ice, fires one cross ice looking for Bouchard on the left wing side. Skated back by Marius Morneau. He'll swing behind his own net. He's under pressure here. Has to pass it off. Perkins trying to get it ahead, does so, but it's too far past Cassidy. Hammered back into the zone. No icing. Yes, they will blow it dead now as referee had a look at it, saw that no Edward Little player really had the chance to touch, and this one will come the length of the ice, but with only 10.3 seconds to go.
Pretty entertaining first period.
Certainly has been fast moving, and we've had those little flurries of action. If anything, we haven't seen the goaltenders called into too many acrobatic saves here. Off the setup for the faceoff. Fennard in front, nobody home for Edward Little, and St. Dom's will just get this one out through Pelletier to end our first period. So the Saints have a 2-goal cushion, but they certainly have some work to do offensively themselves to try and put this game away through periods 2 and 3. While Edward Little, meanwhile, will have themselves, probably some discussion about goaltending and also their entries into the zone as they try to find a way to get this game even up in our second period. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, we'll get into our first period intermission report. You're watching and listening to coverage of our boys ice hockey MBR Game of the Week on MBR.org and listening to it on 105.5 Maine's Big Z.
Falmouth Orthopedic Center. Central Maine Orthopedics. OA Centers for Orthopedics. All play on the same team. Maine's top orthopedic practices have joined forces for more efficient and affordable orthopedic care. Introducing Spectrum Orthopedics.
Winter People Athletics creates custom athletic apparel, including team uniforms and spirit wear. They support team sports programs by offering a variety of clothing and other merchandise which can be personalized with team logos, player numbers, and names, and various other options. They can also provide innovative custom screen printing and embroidered apparel to create fun and engaging fan and booster items to sell for your team fundraising efforts. Call Steve Haynes, Athletic Apparel Consultant, at 207-869-6019 or online at winterpeople.com.
All aboard MBR.org, the place to get all your high school and amateur sports news and information. MBR.org is in high gear with Maine high school winter sports. Go to MBR.org to chat about your favorite team. Find the latest articles, travel news, and cancellations. Or visit their all-new and very popular team pages. MBR.org has everything you want to know about high school and amateur sports in Maine. Coming in February, all the high school tournament action at your fingertips 24/7. It's high school sports heaven. All aboard MBR.org.
Our goal here at Maine Athletic Fundraising is to raise your program or group the most amount of money possible in the shortest amount of time, hassle-free.
Over the last 3 years, we've been able to raise over $10,000 every year, which has really allowed us to get the extra stuff the kids really need to run a successful program.
Winter People Athletics creates custom athletic apparel, including team uniforms and spirit wear. They support team sports programs by offering a variety of clothing and other merchandise which can be personalized with team logos, player numbers, and names, and various other options. They can also provide innovative custom screen printing and embroidered apparel to create fun and engaging fan and booster items to sell for your team fundraising efforts. Call Steve Haynes, Athletic Apparel Consultant, at 207-869-6019 or online at winterpeople.com.
Just doing back inside the Norway Savings Bank Arena here on our MBR Game of the Week alongside Dave Wing. I'm Caleb Lamb as we are up top in our Spectrum Healthcare Partners broadcast booth with a 2-0 lead sitting on the scoreboard currently. The St. Dom's Saints have gotten themselves out to a 2-0 advantage over the Edward Little Red Eddies. And Dave, this has been a game that has lived up to the hype in terms of a rivalry matchup, but has not really developed too many offensive chances. The 2 goals that have gone in for St. Dom's, more of the fluky variety, one off the shoulder of Ben Feldman from a rather simple shot and front from Will Fletcher, and then one flipped in from the blue line from Pushard, took a deflection, and Feldman simply just missed it with his glove over his head.
Yeah, kind of a knuckle puck, and he reached out and nothing happened. Yeah, I think it took them a while to get going, and then they realized, oh, it's a rival game. We're gonna beat the stuffing out of each other. So we saw a little bit of that near the end of the period. Some decent skating through center ice. EOS had a really hard time connecting on passes in their transition game, so they really haven't been able to develop much of an offense. And really, St. Dom's offense has been non-existent other than those 2. I would call them pretty soft shots. They really haven't done much of anything. So it hasn't been an offensive showcase, that's for sure. It's kind of been up and down, and both teams playing decent defense and not a lot of offense.
And, I mean, really, when you look at what's been going on with Edward Little's offensive opportunities, they've been kept to the outside of the rink, but really they've had more chances to be able to get things going through neutral ice, even if St. Dom's D is turning them away. It's not like the Saints have had a possession game going. They've probably spent only half as much time in the offensive zone as the Red Eddies in total. Give some credit to their goaltender, though, Gaston Fuchsa, who has looked very, very good.
Yeah, I think that they EOS had 2 2-on-1s, and then nothing developed out of it. They just didn't pass the puck well. And like you say, they've been around the outside, and the shots haven't been quality shots. They've had some shots on goal, Edward Little has, but they haven't been quality shots. They've been, like you said, tough angles, screened in front, deflected away. So not much going on. It just hasn't been what you would consider a showcase of a hockey game. Now, I expect, now that they've gotten the feel that, okay, we're in this game, we're better than this, both teams. Now I think that we're probably going to see, a little more production for both teams, I would expect.
Well, both these teams will have about 6 more minutes to go over things with their respective coaches. Norm Gagnon trying to get them ready for a charge, and one that he'll still feel confident is within their reach the way they've been playing defensively. For Bobby Parker, former Edward Little alumni himself. He'll be pretty happy with how things have been going from his team defensively, and just hoping that they can keep up a strong start to the game and put themselves at 3-1-1 on the year. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, we will have our last thoughts before we go into our second period of action. You're listening to coverage of this one and watching it on MBR.org and on 105.5 Maine's Big Z.
From the front office staff to the medical technicians and the doctors, we're all playing on the same team. Discover Spectrum Healthcare Partners and the power of integrated specialty care.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house. The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal. We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who will get the IRS off your back.
We saved our home and overcame the most powerful collection agency in the world.
Call Tax Solutions now. Time is running out. Call 800-399-4661. 800-399-4661. 800-399-4661.
Our goal here at Maine Athletic Fundraising is to raise your program or group the most amount of money possible in the shortest amount of time, hassle-free.
Over the last 3 years, we've been able to raise over $10,000 every year, which has really allowed us to get the extra stuff the kids really need to run a successful program.
One of our biggest goals at Maine Athletic Fundraising is to really develop a relationship on the ground with the coaches, the community, and the boosters that are involved, and help bring them together and understand how important it is to fundraise.
Back inside the Norway Savings Bank Arena alongside Dave Wing, I'm Caleb Lamb. Dave, final thought from you going into this one. We've seen good scoring from a couple of lucky shots, but this is a St. Dom's team that looks to have the edge so far. I mean, for Edward Little, based on their troubles a little bit last season, any concern that you'd have right now if you're an Edward Little fan looking to maybe see this team has truly turned the corner? 3 wins is nice from your first 4 games, but they have so far not had too many real tests on their early season schedule.
Yeah, no, I think the schedule has been to their advantage, and that's a nice thing when you're starting out with a new coach. Yeah, I'd be a little concerned. I think that they haven't really skated with any speed through that transition blue line to blue line area, and they're just not getting quality scoring chances at the other end. Defensively, I think that they've played okay. It doesn't look to me like this is a juggernaut offensive group from St. Dom's, at least early in the season. But I think EL needs to pass the puck better through center ice to generate some offensive scoring chances. Now, what's happening is they're losing the puck at center ice with poor passing. I like the little short passes because you get people that are on the move, and it's easier to make that short pass. The problem is they're not connecting because they're not in good spots for anybody to receive the pass.
Well, they will have to try and get that worked out if they're going to get enough quality efforts on target to put one past Gaston Fuchsa, who, after a 5-0 shutout for St. Dom's last game, looking like they might just keep another team at bay the way this defense is running. We'll step aside and be back in 60 seconds with the start of period number 2. Listening to it on MBR.org and on 105.5 Maine's Big Z.
From the front office staff to the medical technicians and the doctors, we're all playing on the same team. Discover Spectrum Healthcare Partners and the power of integrated specialty care.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
Since 2014, Addiction Hope and Helpline has answered your calls 24/7, 365 days per year. Call now and talk to someone who cares. Get connected with programs for teens, men, women, LGBT, vets, or faith-based. Call 800-646-1166. 800-646-1166. Most insurance covers substance abuse, and you may have zero out-of-pocket costs. Call now for a free assessment. Find treatment that fits you or your loved one best, including teens and faith-based options that use proven gentle recovery techniques. You can get back on track. Call 800-646-1166. 800-646-1166. 800-646-1166.
Back inside Norway Savings Bank Arena alongside Dave Wing, I'm Caleb Lamb. We're right back underway in period number 2. Edward Little starting with the opening face-off win to try and get themselves back on the score sheet, and you expect they're going to have some energy coming out of the locker room. Standing room only here at Norway Savings Bank Arena. St. Dom's dressed in the home whites, attacking from left to right in period number 2, and into the zone they come again. Dominic Chassie leaves that one off behind the net, but nobody home to pick it up, and it's swept away up ice. Just out of the reach of Goslin for St. Dom's, who will circle back to his own net. Under some pressure there is Landry trying to get to him along with Cassidy. This will bounce in over the blue line. Chassie stayed onside, but he's not going to fight his way through a curtain of scarlet jerseys in front of the net to turn him away. Able to at least take it to the corner. Back to Zach Pelletier. He'll sweep it down low, but only gets it as far as Cassidy. He's out to neutral ice, and a chance for Perkins to at least sweep it into the offensive zone. Michael Silly able to just deal with that hit coming to him from Perkins, who had a lot of momentum. But in ice hockey, Dave, it's not always the largest player who comes out on top.
No, that's right.
Momentum carries a big part of it, and well as skating ability. Nice long stretch pass here, and a chance for Chapman right to the front of the net. Save, and it ends on top of the goal. What a stop from Gaston Fuchsa. He got the right shoulder to it, and it had just enough to land squarely on top of the cage.
Nice pass and a semi-breakaway. I thought from here, I thought it was in. I thought it caught up underneath, but no, it is shoulder and up on top of the net.
Well, it found the twine. It just found the wrong side of the twine, and rarely has that sentence been said about the puck landing on top of the goal. It's a very small space up there, just enough room usually for a goalkeeper to leave his water bottle, but he got enough to usher it away from the danger area. Shot back in by Edward Little, delayed offside, and they have to clear the zone. Gives plenty of opportunity now for Wolverton to set up the breakout. St. Dom's, having been given notice about Edward Little's intentions, that was a very quick-fire pass from one end of the rink to the blue line to free up a breakaway opportunity for Chapman against a change from St. Dom's. And in the second period, you have the longer change. It comes in the offensive zone, so things like that can be a risk that you have to be on the lookout for. Fletcher down low, gets to the side of the net for St. Dom's. Got it in front for a shot from Pouchard, but it's kept out. And Pouchard is sent tumbling down. Couple more extra whacks than necessary, and he appears to be A-OK, but I'll be surprised if we don't have a penalty here.
Oh, I think we'll get a penalty from a cross-check from behind. They delivered the first blow because he was whacking at the goalie's pads. But the second hit was not necessary, and he's going to go in the sin bin.
That's Aaron Kane who sits down for a 2-minute penalty. One whack was okay with a player hounding your goaltender. That's the way you do it. You protect your goalie. You make sure that nobody gets in the crease, and we've seen a couple of those plays spark skirmishes. But it was the second whack well after the fact that got him in trouble when he delivered a 2-arm shove to send Pushard over his tea kettle. And they'll get that time on the scoreboard, make sure they've got everything good to go. And Pushard, I think, is being sent as well. Oh, my goodness, we're going to have matching minors. Well, now.
Yeah, really, when you think about it, he was late on the goalie, and that's probably appropriate to have sent them both.
Well, that was very, very delayed. In fact, Edward Little was set up on the penalty kill.
Yeah.
And when Coach Gagne saw that, in fact, they were going to make it a matching minor situation, he had to switch up his line. So we'll stay 5-on-5.
5-on-5.
All this coming just very early on in the period. We're only 2:15 in. Still a 2-0 lead for St. Dom's. As we listen to the announcement from the penalties right here. And it's just roughing minors that they'll send to match them both. Edward Little from their own end trying to break this one out. Big hit delivered from Silly, and it's kept in at the point by Zach Pelletier. Mack sends it through the slot area. Nobody could get a touch to it. Over to the near side. Hustling Pelletier, nearly kept it in, but skating away up ice is Winslow. St. Dom's, as they ever are present right at the point, keeping the chances away and really forcing Edward Little to try and play dump and chase. The Red Eddies are going to fight that as much as they can. They don't want to have to flip the puck in deep. They're going to try and use their size to skate through the defensive challenges at the blue line. St. Dom's in the offensive zone. Back to the right point they go with Jack Willett. He'll send all the way around. Foot race onto it to the left side boards. Mac Pelletier got the touch on. Campbell dispossessed. Here's Jack Willett out of the corner. Check that, it's Dominic Chassis as he swivels back with it. Chassis lost out on it, and Keegan Rodrigue trying to get that one out and over the blue line. Pelletier dispossesses him of that notion. All the way around for Webster. Back to the point they'll go. Shot from Wolverton. Right on target. Feldman took that one and gave up no rebound. And that'll be a confidence-boosting save for him.
Yeah, really nice save. He tracked it all away. Was right on top of it. Again, good up and down action. Edward Little, again, giving the puck up a little too often, but a little better than the first period.
Still having some trouble, but they are starting to build in the right direction and slowly taking momentum in this game. Shot from the point from Wolverton again, and another breadbasket save, no rebound from Feldman, who has looked a lot more comfortable out there. And
yes,
to his credit, the goal that he gave up a minute 14 into the game was the first shot that he received. And for a goaltender, it's usually about rhythm. If you don't get enough looks or the first one goes in, it can be tough to keep yourself in the game, so to speak. It's all about muscle memory, but also more about comfortability.
Spoken like a true goalie.
Well, we might have some experience in that regard. This one sent up to the near side point for Edward Little. Shot from the point. Oh. Nice redirection in front as Perkins just swatted out of the air. He's sent crashing. Will play on. Broken out by St. Dom's. Backhand flip onto the stick of Fletcher. How about that for a catch? He comes in one-on-one to his forehand, looking for the shot. Steered away by the left pad of Feldman, and it'll end up at the end boards. To a side battle for it. Alex Landry hanging on to it. It was Landry who had done a nice job of firing one from the point. Swept in front. Feldman lost it in the crease. Defenseman helps him out by getting rid of it. St. Dom's trying to build again. Pass got past Phelan and then ends up redirecting past Wolverton all the way down, and it's handled by Fuchsa. We're 10:20 remaining in our second period. Only 15-minute periods here at the high school level as this one's hit by Landry right into the pads of Webster. Chassis comes in with him. Chassis for Webster. The shot. Glove save. Feldman hangs on, and he made short work of that 2-on-1 to keep it a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, like you said, I think you hit it right on the head. He's looked much more confident and much better at tracking the puck and staying on top of things.
Certainly no trouble there as he came through on a difficult 2-on-1 developing, as Chassis and Webster have both looked pretty good out there. They're not the top line forwards, but they have made the most of their minutes in this one as they stay on the ice and stay as a forechecking duo. Campbell trying to get this one up. Forced off his stick, and it's through the pads, or through the legs, I should say, of Chapman. He reaches behind him and will lug it with him. Silly out to challenge, couldn't get there. Pass in front. Fuchsa went diving with the poke check, and he makes the save again.
What a save. He doesn't die for that. I think he tips that home.
If he stays in the crease and tries to cover it, he's not going to be the favorite to come out with the stop there, but playing the aggressive goalie, and the young man from the Czech Republic with another excellent save. He has been big all year for this St. Dom's club. Sent all the way down, but no icing. Edward Little trying to build out of their own zone again. Chapman, who created that chance with some very good speed, gets it up for Robichaud. tried to backhand it on, thought that he had somebody with him, but in fact did not. And it's broken out by St. Dom's. Pelletier will lift this one into the offensive zone. And here's where things get tricky for the Saints. They have that 2-0 lead, but as Edward Little grows in confidence and starts to get more looks on goal, they're going to need to get their offensive game up to par themselves, as they've been stuck kind of going around the outside of the zone, much like Edward Little was in the first period. Pelletier unable to keep in at the point. Back to center ice. He'll dump it in deep. Got just over the stick of Morneau, who has to retreat after it. Chassis after him. Couldn't come up with it.
Nice little reverse pass to get the puck cleared out.
And that is icing for Edward Little. You jinxed him is what you did.
I did. Well, I thought nice reverse behind the net, and then the next man dumped it all the way down.
It was a good pass. You just had two players skating towards each other, and it split the difference between them. That is not an uncommon occurrence when you have to try and communicate in such a short space for hockey players. They're focused, number one, on not running into each other. Number two, which comes after that, is who's actually going to go and get that pass. In the corner for St. Dom's, off the icing, centering feed from Fletcher, broken up as he tried to find Jacob Lewis in front of the net. Fletcher, who has right now what would stand as the game-winning goal, feeds towards the slot area, broken up by Kane, and away it's skated. Both players who had been in the penalty box, Bouchard and Kane, are both out, as they didn't have time on the board, so they had to wait for a stoppage to come after their 2-minute minors had expired. Winslow sends down low. Little pick play set there by Gaston Fuchs, a young man who is very comfortable playing in the crease area, knows all the little tricks that a lot of the goalies you'll see at the college level and things will do, as this one's sent down by St. Dom's, but no icing. 7:50 remaining here in our second period. Back to the point. Well, that shot in and out of the glove, as there was a screen in front set by Jacob Lewis. Kane sent crashing to the ice. Fletcher overskated it, though, and a little bit embarrassed. He'll just skate back towards his own bench area. Kept in there by Goslin, under some pressure, and he had to get rid of it, and off a skate it goes and out of play.
The EL is attacking those points so that if they make a mistake, they're off to the races, and that one was tipped into the St. John's bench, but it could just as easy have gone off the boards and down the ice.
It's one of the old coaching adages that you'll hear all the time from back in the miracle days of 1980. The legs feed the wolf. You'll see players fly after guys because it's effort and speed that'll often beat out talent. Nice move into the offensive zone by Landry here as he carries the puck, knocked away. Or check that, rather, it was Cassidy, dressed in number 8. Big hit is laid here in front as Silly might have gotten away with an elbow up high there, sent crashing to the ice and evidently shaken up is Eli Thibodeau. That's going to bring a stoppage as he got upended and off his skates and onto the backside of his head. That was a hard
I thought
landing.
It was a little high, and he's a little frustrated that there was no call. And I'm sure the Yale coaches, well, he went to the penalty box. Maybe, is he going to put somebody in there? No call. I think they didn't see it. I think they were watching where the puck was going to go. With only 2 officials, that's one that you could miss.
Silly, who didn't charge after or anything like that to gain momentum. It was simply a very hard hit, but kind of used his arm as leverage there to lift him up off the ice. Bouncing puck off the faceoff ended up on goal. Fuchs takes no chances with it and will try it again, this time from the offensive zone.
It looks to me as I watch this start to develop, Yale's got some pretty good speed. They haven't been able to take advantage with poor passing, but when they do, I tell you, as the season goes along, they're fairly quick.
Robichaud, Cassidy, and Chapman can fly with the best of them, and Chapman delivers a big hit there on Goslin to get some revenge, and actually lost the defensive stick is in the crease area. Meanwhile, down the other side, St. Dom's couldn't quite finish off that chance there. That could have been tricky, though, if Edward Little had kept it in the offensive zone, as Fuchs had a stick in between his pads. He would not have been able to drop down and make saves, and there wouldn't have been a stoppage because it was a defenseman's stick that was stuck there. Goslin had to go back to the bench. Edward Little, though, still trying to break out of their own zone to take advantage, and they cannot, as Campbell will ice it. Again, just split the difference between his 2 forwards going up ice, and that you could almost point and circle on a whiteboard, Dave, is where the trouble has been.
We've seen a lot of that right in that transition ice and center ice, and they're just not hitting those passes. If they do, they're going to take advantage of their speed, I believe.
Jacob Lewis in for the draw against Winslow. Face off at the right wing circle side of the offensive zone for St. Dom's. Won by the Red Eddies. They'll try to break it out all the way around for Colin Merritt. Kept in at the point by Wolverton. Merritt shuffles it on, and here's a chance for Winslow to go one-on-one. He's got Hughes in front of him. Fires a shot. Blocker save made, and the rebound carried away by Fletcher. Up out of the zone, down the right wing board, shakes off the challenge from Merritt, runs over Kane from behind, and he's going to spin-a-rama his way in with it. Lewis drives to the front of the net, looking for the backhand shot, tried the drop pass, nobody in white behind him to get the shot off. Chance for Lewis again, coming out of the circle with it, shot was turned away, rebound, score! Fletcher on the backhand, knocks it home for his second, and the Saints go celebrating into the glass.
Yeah, they just didn't clear the puck out like they needed to, and St. Dom's took advantage of it.
Well, this one comes 9:03 into our period, and as we're just past the midway point of the hockey game, St. Dom's with a very good attack built there. That was all Jacob Lewis and Will Fletcher. Fletcher with a nice spin move to keep it in and keep possession. Lewis with a fine move after the drop pass didn't work. Came circling off the top of the far side dot, and he took a fine wrist shot that was off the blocker, and Feldman could not make the second rebound save. This one deflected out of play by Lewis off the faceoff, so it'll come back inside the St. Dom's defensive end.
I noticed Coach Gagne came down and opened the door and had something to say to the officials, so not exactly sure what was said, but I don't think he's very happy.
Probably not going to be a big fan of the chances around the crease areas. It was looking like it might have been in the blue paint when the puck went in. Zach Pelletier with a nice block. He's on the breakaway for St. Dom's. Comes in. Scores! Zach Pelletier rings it off the iron, and the route is on for the St. Dom's Saints. 4-0, 5:44 to go.
You know, it's one of those things you talk to young kids about. When you've got the puck at the point, you're the last line of defense. You can't fire the puck right at somebody and have it bounce off the pad just like that. If you remember, St. Dom's lost the state championship game to Scarborough a couple years ago when they fired the puck in overtime and it bounced off the pads in a breakaway for the eventual game winner. So, boy, you got to stay away from that kind of a shot. You just do.
Well, this one comes only 13 seconds after the last goal had gone in because of the quick fire stoppage after the faceoff. They had to go a lot farther to put it in the back of the net, but they made it count. Shot from the point here is kicked out of play by Fuchsa on that shot from the right point for Edward Little. Well, the job just got a lot tougher, but no blaming Ben Feldman on either of these two goals that have gone in the second period.
No, absolutely not. The breakaway on that, and you got a sniper coming in, you can expect that kind of a result. And the play before that, they just kept after the puck, and Yale didn't get it out of the zone.
So St. Dom's with 4 goals to the good, and Edward Little still has a lot to go, but they turned over again at the point, and a 2-on-1 developing. Here's Chassie. He's got Pelletier to him. What a save, Feldman. Oh, and Pelletier sent crashing afterwards. That's going to be a big penalty, and we'll see if it's even more than that, because that was well after the whistle, and that's something that could be a game misconduct as we've seen in the past. Mac Pelletier had a nice shot on the 2-on-1, gobbled up by Ben Feldman, and as there was no rebound, he was standing there, and the Edward Little player finally caught up and gave him a heaving check. And I think that is going to be all that she wrote for maybe one player if we see that the penalty is, in fact, a game misconduct. No, looks like it's just going to be 2 minutes in the box for Landry.
They were lucky on that then. Pretty late on the play. You know, we always taught defensemen, when you're stuck 2-on-1, take the pass. Do not try to stop the puck carrier. Leave that to the goalie.
Take away those options.
Take away the pass. Oh, the goalie can't help it when you pass it across and it's wide open.
Can be goaltenders' preference at times about how they like to play, but either way, you can't give up that many chances on the odd man rush. And St. Dom's back into the zone again on the power play. Will try and make it 5 if they can. This is not turning out to be good back-to-back defensive performances for Edward Little, who last gave up 6 goals. But they have a chance right here on the shorthanded chance. Fuchs on the glove save. Denies Ben Cassidy again. That was all the hard work on the forecheck from Ben Cassidy, who forced a turnover and was able to somehow wrestle control away to walk in on goal by himself. They nearly force another one. Delayed offside against Edward Little as St. Dom's survived one thanks to their goaltenders' fine efforts. Fletcher into the zone, fires a shot blocked in front by Morneau. He's taken hard to the glass, and Edward Little right now just playing for pride.
Yeah.
They are not happy with how this second period has gone, and they're starting to take their frustrations out in the jerseys in white.
Becoming pretty chippy.
Campbell forces the turnover, and he'll try to start it up ice. That anger and rage, though, usually leads to increased performance on the physical side in terms of hitting power and skating speed, and we're seeing that. They just right now have to make sure that they're still playing smart hockey which could be a little bit tougher to do when you're in a blind rage. Here's Fletcher across the blue line, down the right wing circle side. 2 players steering to him, and Morneau will laser this one down the ice on net for Fuchs to stop. 30 seconds to go in the minor for the very late hit from Alex Landry. 3:43 remaining in our second period. St. Dom's 4, Edward Little nothing. Turnover for Chassie, run over by Kane. Legal hit, though, as he just caught him in a difficult situation. Carried in by Thibodeau. He fires one. Fuchs slams the door shut again. Fine save on a 2-on-1 short-handed down low. Chassie trying to get a little bit of revenge there. Robichaud putting pressure on as it's ushered away, and we are back to 5-on-5 hockey as Lewis deflects it into the zone. Robichaud back to neutral ice. Ouellette through center, bounces to the far side. Stepping around a man is Pouchard. Goal and an assist for the freshman forward, who has done a fantastic job so far to start the season for the St. Dom Saints. Number 22 in white, joined on the forecheck by Jacob Lewis. 22 in scarlet and white. Reed Chapman had another good chance earlier on in this period, and they're trying to set him up at neutral ice. You can try to see a player playing almost the spy role, if you were talking in football terms, hanging out, keeping an eye on the play, and hoping that someone is going to be able to hit him with a pass at center ice. Chapman back into the zone, forces a turnover. This one will just be launched clear, but they were still 5-on-5 instead of on the power play time for St. Dom's, so that just results in an icing. But it does give the Reddies a chance to get their line sorted out.
Yeah, I think this is always a tough spot for the coach. You know, you want your team to be aggressive and whatever, but you don't want them to be so chippy that they take unwarranted penalties and put yourself at a disadvantage again. So it'll be interesting to see how Yale handles this, because so far, not so well.
They've been able to at least make some fine plays, as this one's wristed in on goal by Perkins and covered up. Some of these hits have looked pretty bad from some of these Edward Little players, but keep in mind you've got a lot of upperclassmen versus a lot of smaller freshmen on the ice at times, and they at least have been legal not using their sticks or things like that. But it's those types of plays that almost put you in more trouble sometimes when you're looking for the hit instead of your defensive responsibilities. Silly from out behind the goal line is going to skate this one away, the tallest player on the ice for St. Dom's, and he sends Thibodeau crashing. That's the same guy that he had upended that kind of sparked the return of the melee back in at the beginning of period number 2. Thibodeau bouncing right back into Silly for a hit as Pouchard looks down low for Fletcher, looking for the hat trick, denied. Backhands one in front. That got through the crease area. Nobody found it. Silly rifles one, caught our referee in the side of the head, and he is shaken up, and he's going to have to blow the whistle to stop play. And he's going to go for a little skate about there to make sure he's not bleeding. So both referees will get away.
It looked like it caught him in the cheek just underneath the shield. And he's going down and maybe out the door. I think it must have cut him.
I think we're right here, and we may be down a referee in this game, which we certainly don't need any less of the way things have been going. But
Don Langelier, veteran official.
Guy who coaches or refs at the college level as well.
Sure. Yep. And been doing this a long time. Took one right in the cheekbone. Of course, going to probably put a butterfly bandage on it. And if this was the NHL, they'd put 2 stitches in it and send it back out. But we'll see what happens. We've got 1:51. I mean, honestly, this might be a time to take the period break and then come back and see where we go from there. So we don't know whether to take a break. We don't know whether they're going to wait for him.
Well, they are still leaving the time on the board, but without 2 officials, they're going to put a break in play. So we're going to take a quick break as well, and we'll get back to action in just a couple of minutes when we return to play. 1:51 to go in the second period. St. Dom's on top 4-0 right now. You're watching it on MBR.org and listening to it on 105.5 Maine's Big Z.
From the front office staff to the medical technicians and the doctors, playing on the same team. Discover Spectrum Healthcare Partners and the power of integrated specialty care.
All aboard aboard MBR.org, the place to get all your high school and amateur sports news and information. MBR.org is in high gear with Maine high school winter sports. Go to MBR.org to chat about your favorite team. Find the latest articles, travel news, and cancellations, or visit their all-new and very popular team pages. MBR.org has everything you want to know about high school and amateur sports in Maine. Coming in February, all the high school tournament action at your fingertips 24/7. It's high school sports heaven. All aboard MBR.org.
Winter People Athletics creates custom athletic apparel, including team uniforms and spirit wear. They support team sports programs by offering a variety of clothing and other merchandise which can be personalized with team logos, player numbers and names, and various other options. They can also provide innovative custom screen printing and embroidered apparel to create fun and engaging fan and booster items to sell for your team fundraising efforts. Call Steve Haynes, athletic apparel consultant, at 207-869-6019 or online at winterpeople.com. Full Court Press is on your team. Full Court Press is more than just a coffee shop. Some of their print services include color copies, black and white copies, posters, bindings, calendars, cards, business cards, and every door direct mail. They're located at 855 Main Street in Westbrook. Call them today at 207-464-0002 or request an estimate, place an order, and much more on their website at fullcourtpress.biz. That's fullcourtpress.biz. When you need a copy shop to bring the heat, it's time to hire Full Court Press.
Our goal here at Maine Athletic Fundraising is to raise your program or group the most amount of money possible in the shortest amount of time, hassle-free.
Over the last 3 years, we've been able to raise over $10,000 every year, which has really allowed us to get the extra stuff the kids really need to run a successful program.
One of our biggest goals at Maine Athletic Fundraising is to really develop a relationship on the ground with the coaches, the community, and the boosters that are involved, and help bring them together and understand how important it is to fundraise.
Back at Norway Savings Bank Arena, where we're in a holding pattern of sorts at the moment. 1:51 to go in period number 2, but we are currently in a stoppage after one of our officials was hit in the side of the face with an errant shot. And Dave, to you, it looked like Don Langolier, who I think was down there in the corner, just caught that one flush in the cheek.
Flush in the cheek, and I think it opened a cut. And I don't understand. The logical thing would have been send him in and come out after the ice make and play 151, take a quick minute break, and then start up again. This is, uncharacteristic, and you don't know how long he's going to be in there. He may need the whole 10-minute ice make to get it stitched or whatever they're going to do with it. And
I think this is one where you don't oftentimes prepare for what to do in a situation like this.
But
for
again,
sure.
Common sense, I can remember when I was coaching football at Skowhegan, it was the first night game we ever had. The first time we had our lights on. Something happened in the breaker room, where one of the breakers popped and the lights went out. We had a minute 9 seconds or something like until the half, and the official, a minute 44, and the official came over and said, "We're going to take the half now, get this thing fixed, and then we'll come back and we'll play 1:44, and then take a quick 2-minute break, and then start the second half." So that's what we did, which reminds me of what this looks like it maybe could have been. Not what happened, but it could have been, I thought.
Certainly would be a good option, and I think right now that's what we might have both coaches being notified about to see if we decide to take that break, as we have not seen our referee return to the ice surface.
Yeah,
and it looks like they're going to head to the locker room right now, and I think we'll end up doing just that. Well, both teams at this point had gotten a little cold, so to speak, with how long they had been sitting down. And for their part, it was good to see some sportsmanship from both teams during that little break. Gaston Fuchsa had come across as both goaltenders eventually went to join their teams in front of their respective benches areas. And we saw both goalies meet at center ice and give the little salute to each other on the way by. Regardless of team rivalry, the goalies' union always stays intact. So this will do it for our second period. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we'll get into our recap of what wasn't exactly a full 15 minutes, but certainly left us with plenty of action to talk about. 4-0 with officially 2 periods in the books. We'll be back in just a moment. You're watching coverage of this one on MBR.org and listening to it. Our MBR Game of the Week on 105.5, Maine's Big Z.
Falmouth Orthopedic Center. Central Maine Orthopedics. OA Centers for Orthopedics. All playing on the same team. Maine's top orthopedic practices have joined forces for more efficient and affordable orthopedic care. Introducing Spectrum Orthopedics.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house. The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal. We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who will get the IRS off your back.
We saved our home and overcame the most powerful collection agency in the world.
Call Tax Solutions now. Time is running out. Call 800-399-4661. 800-399-4661. 800-399-4661.
Winter People Athletics creates custom athletic apparel, including team uniforms and spirit wear. They support team sports programs by offering a variety of clothing and other merchandise which can be personalized with team logos, player numbers, and names, and various other options. They can also provide innovative custom screen printing and embroidered apparel to create fun and engaging fan and booster items to sell for your team fundraising efforts. Call Steve Haynes, athletic apparel consultant, at 207-869-6019 or online at winterpeople.com.
From the front office staff to the medical technicians and the doctors, we're all playing on the same team. Discover Spectrum Healthcare Partners and the power of integrated specialty care.
That's really frustrating with Tyler coming so late.
Back inside our Norway Savings Bank Arena here, alongside Dave Wing, I'm Caleb Lamb, our Spectrum Healthcare Partners broadcast booth, where we have a second intermission currently going on, but we haven't yet played a half an hour of high school ice hockey. That's because we've got about a minute and change remaining in our second period, but an incident involving one of our referees, Dave, has us in a little bit of a holding pattern, so as you correctly identified, much quicker, it must be said, than our game crew tonight. Taking the early break, probably the best option here.
Yeah, I think it gives them a chance to check out Don Langelier. I don't know if they've got a doctor on site that can put a couple of stitches in or what they're going to do. If they've called somebody that's close by to say, get your skates and let's go, it's hard to say. But, it makes sense. You're almost at the end of the period anyway. Take the break now. Give you the 10-minute ice make, and then come back and play a minute. What was it, 15 or something like that?
Minute 12, I believe, is how much we have left.
And then take a quick minute break, and then start your third period. So,
expect that there was certainly some kind of wound on the side of his face. Didn't see any blood dripping around the ice, which was good. But also, with the way that pucks are, they're kept frozen. They may be made out of rubber, but they're anything but soft and bouncy.
Not soft. There's no squishiness. And he knew right away because he skated directly from that corner right through center ice, met with the other official, a quick word as he didn't stop as he skated by and went right to the dressing room. So it was clearly something that he knew he needed to be looked at. We can't even speculate where it hit him other than to say up underneath the shield at least or below the shield, something like that. And enough to take him off the ice. And Don's a veteran official. He's not squeamish. You can bet that it was something that he knew was serious enough to send him to the locker room.
And that's almost the trouble with old-time hockey players who become referees or guys that have been on the ice for a long, long time. Just like the hockey players themselves, they don't react to the pain in a usual way. So he could have had a broken bone in the side of his face for all we know, and probably would have reacted the exact same manner. But
yeah, I tell you, the one a couple years ago when Stamkos was playing against the Bruins for Tampa Bay, and he reached his stick out to block a shot, and it traveled right up his stick, hit him right on the nose, and you could see the bone sticking right out of his nose. He went in the locker room, because they have three or four lines of forwards. He never missed a shift. By the time they stitched him up and sent him back. Now, can you imagine how much that hurt? I don't care what they did to it. He came back and finished the game. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy stuff.
That's just how it works when you play at this level of a sport where violence and hits are not only a part of the game but are encouraged
expected
as a good tactic. And that's one thing that we saw in the second period. A lot of physical play from Edward Little trying to find a route back into the game. Some big hits delivered. Some plays from both teams that were a little over the line. But for St. Dom's, they were able to turn a couple of their chances into goals as we had tallies that came just 13 seconds apart.
You don't know what was said in between periods. Like, listen, they're out skating us, they're this or that. We need to get more physical. And again, some kids understand what being more physical means, and others take that for a license to do crazy stuff on the ice. And I think that they took themselves out of position and created a couple of 2-on-1s and one breakaway. And again, some of that is because they're running around crazy as opposed to still playing their regular system but continuing to be more physical. There's a difference. And I don't think EL kept their head. I think they got running around a little bit, and it got them out of position, cost them 2 more goals. So suddenly they're down 4-0, and like you said, a much taller task when you're trying to score 4 goals to get yourselves back even in a game like this. That's really a rivalry game.
Well, there was no certainly beating of any drums against the goaltending performance from Ben Feldman in our period, as we saw a fantastic goaltending display from both sides of the ice. On the other side, Gaston Fuchs, a number of excellent saves, just turning pucks away on a couple of breakaways, a couple of 2-on-1s, either playing very deep in his net or coming out to challenge.
Well,
on the other side,
he came out on that one pass right out front that if he doesn't come and deflect it away, it's a goal for sure.
And we are at least getting a note here that we are going to be in a holding pattern for a little bit, as it sounds like we are, in fact, going to need a second referee to be able to finish out things for our game tonight. So,
see, you should have brought your skates. You could finish the game for them.
Well, I might be able to go and find a bear over there, but I don't think they'd
want that too much.
I don't think they'd find it too happy with a microphone plugged into the side of my head either, trying to call
You'd
the
have
action.
A good vantage point.
A little bit difficult to do both those things.
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
Well, to recap scoring for you in our entire game to this point, we go back to the first period, 1:14 in, when one was fired into the back of the net for Will Fletcher, who was able to score a soft goal from the slot area off the shoulder of Feldman and in. And it was midway through the period when another one that probably should not have tickled the twine was in the back of the cage. Lucas Pichard shot from just over the blue line, which was deflected and was fluttering on the way, but without much speed. And Feldman put the glove up, and the glove was just simply not high enough to catch it as into the back of the net it went for a 2-0 lead at the turn. In the second period, like I said, chances were pretty even, but there were 2 good goals from St. Dom's as Fletcher got in on the act again, this time courtesy of a good play in the offensive zone from Jacob Lewis, who had the primary assist. Pushard the secondary. Fletcher was there to knock home the rebound at the back post with a backhand shot to make it 3-0. And 13 seconds later, a breakaway set up and finished off in style from not Mac Pelletier, but Zach Pelletier, the younger one, the sophomore forward, putting one in off the post past the glove side of Feldman, as that has us at a 4-0 margin.
You know, the other thing that always makes these rivalries even more intense is the fact that you get kids from St. Dom's who live in Auburn or they live in Lewiston or wherever, and suddenly, instead of playing with their regular team, they move across and they play for St. Dom's, one of their big rivals. And so suddenly you get kids who grew up with you playing for your rival team, and it creates some, I think, some feelings that we see come out on the ice and some frustration. And I think we're probably seeing a little bit of that now.
And they still have some time to get back into this game. They may not have enough to try and get a win, but I think more importantly for them, they've now had about 5 periods in a row of not great hockey with getting a lot of goals scored on them. Just get things turned around in the right direction and focus on trying to set the stage for the next game and the game after that.
Yeah, we used to say, if you can't win this game, can you win this period? Can you do the things that we've worked on all preseason and in our early games to get ourselves in a situation where we can say, okay, we won that period, now let's build on that. I used to say in football, for instance, you go back to your basics. Let's run the football. Let's try to get some first downs, that kind of thing. That's the thing for EL here. Can we shut them out this period, and can we get maybe 1, maybe even 2 goals to say that we won this period would be a big lift, I think, for them.
Well, as we mentioned, we are in a holding pattern at the moment. The second period came to an end a minute and change early as we had an injury to our referee, and as we've heard, they are going to need a replacement ref to make his way down to finish off tonight's game. So we're going to take a break, and an extended one at that on the radio side for you folks. As stay tuned to us, enjoy some tunes on 105.5 Maine's Big Z, and we'll be back as soon as we have a return to hockey action, as we still have a period and a little bit more to finish things off. So we thank you for staying with us. We're not done just yet, but our game of the week is going to have to continue, perhaps after a few minutes of break time. 4-0 after 2 periods of play. St. Dom's on top over Edward Little. They're going to come out and I think skate around for a little bit, and we'll see if St. Dom's joins as well. We'll see if we can get back to action quicker rather than later. You're listening to it on MBR.org and 105.5 Maine's Big Z.
Falmouth Orthopedic Center, Central Maine Orthopedics, OA Centers for Orthopedics, all playing on the same team. Maine's top orthopedic practices have joined forces for more efficient and affordable orthopedic care. Introducing Spectrum Orthopedics.
Winter People Athletics creates custom athletic apparel, including team uniforms and spirit wear. They support team sports programs by offering a variety of clothing and other merchandise which can be personalized with team logos, player numbers, and names, and various other options. They can also provide innovative custom screen printing and embroidered apparel to create fun and engaging fan and booster items to sell for your team fundraising efforts. Call Steve Haynes, Athletic Apparel Consultant, at 207-869-6019 or online at winterpeople.com.
All aboard MBR.org, the place to get all your high school and amateur sports news and information. MBR.org is in high gear with Maine high school winter sports. Go to MBR.org to chat about your favorite team. Find the latest articles, travel news, and cancellations, or visit their all-new and very popular team pages. MBR.org has everything you want to know about high school and amateur sports in Maine. Coming in February, all the high school tournament action at your fingertips 24/7. It's high school sports heaven. All aboard MBR.org.
Full Court Press is on your team. Full Court Press is more than just a coffee shop. Some of their print services include color copies, black and white copies, posters, bindings, calendars, cards, business cards, and every door direct mail. They're located at 855 Main Street in Westbrook. Call them today at 207-464-0002 or request an estimate, place an order, and much more on their website at fullcourtpress.biz. That's fullcourtpress.biz. When you need a coffee shop to bring the heat, it's time to hire Full Court Press.
From the front office staff to the medical technicians and the doctors, we're all playing on the same team. Discover Spectrum Healthcare Partners and the power of integrated specialty care.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
Since 2014, Addiction Hope and Helpline has answered your calls 24/7, 365 days per year. Call now and talk to someone who cares. Get connected with programs for teens, men, women, LGBT, vets, or faith-based. Call 800-646-1166. 800-646-1166. Most insurance covers substance abuse, and you may have zero out-of-pocket costs. Call now for a free assessment. Find treatment that fits you or your loved one best, including teens and faith-based options that use proven gentle recovery techniques. You can get back on track. Call 800-646-1166. 800-646-1166. 800-646-1166.
Back here at Norway Savings Bank Arena alongside Dave Wing, I'm Caleb Lamb. Thanks to those of you who stayed with us and have rejoined us here on 105.5 Maine's Big Z. We had a little bit of a delay while we had to wait for a backup referee to make his way down to the ice to continue the game. So we're going to finish off our last 1:51 of our second period, and we're back underway here. So call it the time and change, I guess, technically here, that they will probably not make ice. And we'll just finish off this, have a quick couple-minute break, and then go right into the third period. So a quick stoppage for offside as they came across. And an odd situation for both teams to try and get back into the mental aspect of this hockey game.
Yeah, really, especially for EL being down 4-0. You got to get yourself back up, and St. Dom's could lose their focus. You know, I've seen that happen. You kind of go ho-hum, and then suddenly you're in one. So
only takes a couple of goals, maybe a quick one here before the official end of the second period. And the momentum changes on a dime. Edward Little trying to build through the neutral zone, carried over the blue line by Perkins. Shuffled down low, but Jack will let his after it. Down to 1:15 remaining in the second period time. It'll then be a couple of minutes and then third period action. Edward Little chance down low, quick shot, save Fuchsa. Rebound was jabbed at off his pad. He couldn't cover up. Perkins, though, couldn't tip it home as it was Thibodeau who had tried on the rebound chance. Zach Pelletier ladles it into the zone, and Feldman's going to cover up with just under a minute to go in our second period.
So a couple good chances for EL coming right out here. Just under a minute here to go in the second period, so to speak. So see what happens with that.
Face off at the right wing circle side. Lewis backhands it over to the near side boards. Fletcher trying to come up with it, but instead it's turned back by Kane. In the direction of Logan Alexander, who tried to get it up but not over the blue line. And Fletcher will drive towards the front of the net. Knocked off his stick to Lewis. Centers it back to the slot area. Just missed Fletcher as he tried to skate towards it. And this one's flicked into the glove of Feldman by Lucas Pichard. Face off with 38.6 seconds to go.
You know, it's funny, in defense of Feldman, that slower puck that's up in the air is a really hard one to try to gauge. It really is.
This one chipped off a stick from Ben Gosselin and out of play with some help by Ben Lane Robichaud, who got to it. Yeah, for a goaltender, you can never really fault them on plays in and around the net. Sometimes the slow ones you feel like they should have, but anybody who's ever tried to do what seems like a simple athletic task knows how tough it is to sometimes come up with something when there's a lot that can go wrong. And he made a fine save there with his glove, as that was a good shot from Fletcher right down the hop. Couldn't catch it in the glove, but flicked it over with the cheater on the end of it. Down the near side, Chapman able to get around Silly into the offensive zone for Edward Little. Puck came out in front. Ben Lane Robichaud to the forehand shot. Save Fuchsa. Rebound loose, and he's got it covered as he's pushed into the net with 9 seconds to go. Edward Little very nearly sneaked one back after a great save on the other end from senior Ben Feldman.
Again, two pretty quality chances here just before the end of the second period. And like you say, one or both of those go in, we got a different hockey game.
Well, they still have a few more seconds. Winslow off the draw, able to control it. Forced back to him. He'll go back to the point. Campbell's got to get his shot off and fire in a hurry. Right on, and Fuchs squeezes the pads closed. No rebound given up, only 1.7 seconds to go. And there may not be another chance here to get something off this rush.
Pretty difficult with under 2 seconds to go to get a shot unless the faceoff man goes right for the net.
Bouchard having to get to the bench on the late change for St. Dom's. They'll get ready to drop it now, and it's a backhand shot attempt from Winslow that ends up wide of the net. So no time to make ice here, and no real need, only a few passes up and down the newly paved surface. And we will go ahead and have a quick couple of minutes to talk with the coaches and then be set to go with the third period. So we'll keep it right here and kind of do our finishing up of our second period intermission, Coach Wing, because we have seen a very good response to that final just under 2 minutes to play from Edward Little. That looked like a team ready to get back on the ice, like the break hadn't affected them.
Yeah, I think they were waiting at the door, anxious to get out there, and I don't know what Coach Gagne said in between the periods, but clearly it looks to me like they came out determined to really go after things, and they've had the two best quality chances of this period, without a doubt. And again, one or both of those go in, and we've got ourselves a different third period. So you just don't know in high school sports. I said ending that period early and having the quick break like this and then coming back and playing a little bit, you don't know that maybe St. Dom's lose their focus a little bit, or maybe it gives EL new life. You just don't know how kids are going to react to those kind of things. And so far it looks to us like maybe EL had the best reaction so far.
Well, they just have not been able to beat the reactions of Gaston Fuchs, as the netminder had quite a few saves to make there in that final 2-minute stretch, and he came up aces on all of them once again.
Yeah, he's been the difference so far, no question. He's made he hasn't had a lot of quality scoring chances in the first period, but a few more this period, and we'll see what the third period holds. But the last two were quality scoring chances, and he handled them both.
Those were very, very good chances down low set up by Edward Little, and as we talked about, spells good news for them, and it may mean that they have a chance to get back into it. 4 goals is a lot to try and overcome in 15 minutes. St. Dom's will be thinking about another win, but it's always on to the next game with that in mind for a coaching staff, and both of these coaches, they still have their eyes on what's coming up down the road. They need to be playing good hockey. They both are going to have to deal a little bit more with the juggernaut that is Lewiston remaining in the division.
No question.
And then try and set themselves up nicely as we get set for the very fun playoffs that are only a couple months away at this point. Sent down the ice as we get period number 3 underway here. And St. Dom's with a 4-0 lead to contend with, now attacking from right to left again in this third period. Dylan Campbell back to his own end, puts on the brakes as he's run off the puck by Pelletier. And he goes right back after him to dislodge it away as Ben Cassidy continues to dig, looking for a chance. Back to the point that was kept in. Hughes' shot got through everyone, and Feldman puts it away in the glove.
Yeah, but again, EL, they brought the puck up to the half wall, and just a so-so pass out to the blue line, right to the other point, and you just can't give the puck up like that. Got to maintain control.
Got to make sure that you're not turning the puck over in those bad situations. To number 1, don't give chances to the other team. And number 2, keep possession. It's the only way you're going to score. Aaron Kane from in front of his own net, and he's a little lackadaisical with it and had time for Pushard to get in there and get a stick on it. Swept away, and up ice they'll carry it through Alexander. Shoots it in deep. Robichaud will wait for Chapman to come to it and hopefully have a pass come his way. Chapman carries behind the net. Played off there. Alexander looked for the backhand. No chance, but the net had been tumbled down onto the backside of Gaston Fuchs, as it looks like Chapman got his stick wedged in over the top of the protection at the base of the net.
Yeah, and again, two EL offensive players behind the net at the same time, at the same place, and they really needed to be spread out a little bit more so you have a chance to pass the puck to somebody out in front.
So because of that inadvertent action, it'll come out of the defensive zone for St. Dom's. It's only there for a moment, though, as it gets shot back in deep off the draw. Minute gone here. Benley and Robichaud look for a shot, lost the puck, and had to be sent back in deep from Landry. Stopped there by Silly, and he gets it ahead for Pushard. Nice move, and he's tripped up. No penalty called. They'll stay on the attack. Here's a chance again for Fletcher trying to finish off the hat trick. Could not. Feldman, the shoulder save, and then covered up the rebound in front.
Nice save by Feldman. Could have been a trip back here, but no call. I think, you can make the case he stepped on the stick, whatever. But, again, nice save by Feldman.
Well, we also have a referee who's just had to step into a contest that has already been going.
He was sitting on his couch watching a Christmas movie. Come on.
This one sent out of the zone after Cam Sturgis was planted on his behind back in his own end of things. He'll pick it up, though, back to his skates and risk this one in deep. Fuchsa will stop it behind the net. He wants to play with it himself a little bit there, but it's turned over. Chance to the side of the net, the shot, great save, rebound is there. Oh, it didn't go in, block in front. It was, I believe, Gosselin who got the pad in the way. Should have been a goal in the back of the net for Edward Little. Very unlucky.
Yeah, they've had a couple of those, and they really have, since we've had the break, they've come back with a vengeance.
Silly from in his far right wing corner, trying to get it out and over the blue line defensively. Able to get some help on that task from Jeremy Phelan. Through neutral ice, Campbell making the move. Ushers it on in the direction of Keegan Rodrigue. Puck jammed off his stick, and he will head to the bench to finish off the line change. St. Dom's will use the extra ice to try and break out, but nice move taking back possession there. And a Cassidy able to swing back in deep. The junior forward sends it behind the goal line. Fuchsa will play it himself, this time rather than passing to a defenseman. Goes for the clear. Couldn't get it out of the zone. Morneau looked to go back in deep. Could not. Campbell has to cycle back through his own zone. He's under pressure from behind for Chassis. Tried the long pass for Thibodeau, just off the mark, and that's icing.
It's funny, and I don't happen to be a proponent for dump and chase. I don't care for it. I don't care for the style. I would rather see you skate it in, pass it in, whatever you need to do other than that.
The way dump and chase hockey normally works is you have to have that plan going in so that you're still skating at full speed when you dump the puck deep, so you have time for the forecheckers to get in. What a lot of teams do is do that as a last resort when the play's been broken up, and they're having to dump in when players are either standing still to avoid being offside or aren't ready to go flying into the corners. So that is usually when you get in trouble, that you're not going to come up with possession. Haven't really seen either of these teams go to that strategy as Cassidy carries in deep for Edward Little here. He'll peel off in the corner, jammed by two players, and Wolverton skates it away. We've seen both these teams try to skate at each other and try to make passes, so it's been good end-to-end action as a silky smooth move by Chassis allows him to chassé his way in behind the goal line. Couldn't keep possession, and Thibodeau will leave it off for a man to circle back with. It's Ben Cassidy who has been really the best player on the ice in this game for Edward Little as Thibodeau sends one in. Blocker save was unnecessary, and it sends the puck out of play. Fuchsa taking no chances with that one in the vicinity of his far post.
Better to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely. Face off with 11:27 remaining here in our third period. 4-0 lead. Edward Little trying to dig themselves out of a hole against their in-town rivals, St. Dom's. Back to the point. Campbell's shot, left pad save. Getting down low, Fuchsa again turns it aside. He has been big tonight. Robichaud in front from the slot area. His shot blocked. Found by Alexander. Goes back to Morneau at the point. His shot got through everybody. Missed the net wide near side. To the near side point. Campbell looked to make a move. Gave the puck away. Pushard. Can he beat Morneau? He cannot. Good hustle from the Red Eddies defenseman, getting back at the last second at his own blue line to intervene. And he'll break it out ahead. Chapman, 2-on-2 rush. Make it a 3-on-2. He comes in, fires one, and again, Fuchsa will just angle the blocker in the way and let that one fly to the rafters.
Yeah, good defensive play back here, and then a nice escape.
Lucas Pushard, who would be looking for his second goal of the game and his third point, has had a fantastic hockey game tonight. And the youngster, one of several players that are underclassmen who have been big. And another Edward Little miscue, turns it over for Phelan from his own end. Dekes his way towards the front of the net. Kane puts a hit on him and dislodges him from the puck, which allows Feldman to cover up.
Yeah, you can bet that probably three-quarters of these kids skated youth hockey together. They probably know each other, probably been to each other's houses plenty of times. And
doesn't always mean they stay friends on the ice, as we've seen.
No, there's not a lot of friendship out there right now.
Doesn't mean they're always nice to each other, even when it remains in families. Last year we saw Gavin Toussaint, who's backup goaltender here for Edward Little, had to deal with older brother Noah picking on him in a couple of contests against each other. Here's Webster for St. Dom's in the offensive zone. Centers one, deflected in on goal, and quick reactions from Feldman.
That's the kind of luck he always had, hasn't it? It was just a harmless pass. It deflected and it was right on the goal.
And as a goaltender, that is a nice stop to make because there is nothing more frustrating than having the play right and having a redirected puck fly behind you. I can say that one from experience. Face off from the left wing side here for Zach Pelletier as he comes in for the draw. Cassidy duels against him and wins it cleanly back for Campbell. All the way around to the left wing side. Edward Little from left to right. Perkins unable to get that one out over the blue line, and the pass towards Thibodeau. Too far in front, icing. You can see just some visible frustration for Edward Little. They haven't played that badly. They just have run into a very, very good goaltender and have had some bad puck luck themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
St. Dom's will do another offensive zone face-off, trying to figure out the lineup right now. Mac Pelletier, the captain, in on the left wing side against Zach's center face-off win. And Zach Pelletier, who's on the score sheet, older brother Mac is not, and he's going to send it towards the lone senior and captain of this St. Dom's squad. Pelletier from the left wing side sends it around behind the end boards, but it's there where Campbell picks it up. On the breakout, goes off the glass in the direction of Alexander, too far in front. This one did ride off a couple of jerseys and into the Edward Little bench. So right now, St. Dom's, don't want to say that they're playing the hockey equivalent of a prevent defense in football, but they're sort of laying back. Yeah. They're not committing too many forecheckers in, but they're just doing a good job of keeping the puck moving and keeping the puck out of their zone. It's sound hockey. Big hit against Pushard as he paid the price for sending the puck in deep, and number 22 is down and in some pain here. Reed Chapman delivering the big blow, the opposite number 22. And Pushard a little bit sore on the backside right above the hockey pants as he skates off under his own power, but in severe discomfort.
I think it could have been a penalty. It was right, very close right here. And again, two fishes trying to get used to each other a little bit. And pretty good shot right up against the boards. No question about that.
Chapman skated right into him as Pushard was dumping that one in. It wasn't a late hit, and it's hard to make the case for something like charging as he didn't have that many steps to find him.
He didn't have that many strides. It just looked like it was a little bit from behind, but again, nothing called, and let's play on.
Just wanted to make sure he finished off his hard hit, and that's how hockey works sometimes. Good to see Pushard at least was able to skate off under his own power as he's examined on the bench by the training staff. Fletcher forces the turnover at center ice, and Will Fletcher gets it in deep, but lost it on his backhand as he tried to make the one-handed deke. Edward Little breaking out. 2-on-2 rush as they go up ice. Move to the far side, and a little bit of room for a shot on Fuchsa. Handles that one nicely and says, thank you very much, Sturgis, for putting that down the middle.
Yeah, came out to cut down the angle, and he shot it right in his chest.
And it's interesting the way hockey shots work. If you're new to the sport at all or you're listening and wondering what we're talking about, you almost think of it like a three-dimensional plane. Rather than trying to shoot up in the air and down the middle, you either want to go very high right over the corner, or you almost want to keep it along the surface of the ice or not too far off it, so that if the goaltender makes the save, it's probably going to bounce off of him and come back into play.
Nice rebound. Yep.
If you put it about 2 feet off the ice, that breadbasket area where it'll catch a goalie in the gut, he's normally able to hang on to it and put a stoppage to play.
And he's got all those pads when he goes down in some sort of
butterfly style
or whatever, and you just never know.
Edward Little able to shoot this one in deep. Sent in deep from Cassidy, who has to try and get to it in a hurry. And Fuchsa, under a little bit of pressure, ended up catching the netting as he tried to clear it around. That would find you a penalty in the
NHL,
upper rankings of ice hockey.
Yep.
At the high school level, a little more forgiving with things like icing or what would be delays of game penalty for clearing out of your own zone.
It shows he handles the puck pretty well because that's exactly what he wanted to do.
Shot from the point here, took a deflection and nearly beat Fuchsa, who was moving towards his near post. But this one cleared all the way down. Feldman's just going to stop it at the side of the net. No icing. It'll be picked up by Campbell. We're down to 8:20 remaining in the third period. Still a 4-0 lead, 2 goals in each frame so far for St. Dom's. Edward Little, though, with the momentum at the moment, able to get that one in over the blue line cleanly, but not quite with the attack altogether. They at least made sure everyone was pointed in the right direction, but St. Dom's comes right back. Massey had it knocked off his stick. He'll go right back towards it on the near side boards. Hassling Morneau, first a turnover for Pelletier, who gets run into again by Chapman, who has tried to set the tone a little bit as the physical presence, and certainly not the biggest body on the surface of the ice, but he has been good at delivering those hits. Chapman picks this one up. No offside because it was deflected in by a St. Dom's player. Sent towards the front of the net. Alexander knocks it there. Wraparound chance for Ben Lane Robichaud. Went to go back to the point. Kane was deserting that point to come down low, and it's all the way down for Landry to scoop up. Circles behind his own net. Pass up the far board side, too strong for Alexander. Didn't leave the zone. Fletcher, though, not in a big hurry to go after it. Just happy to keep the play in front of him and keep it all the way down the length of the ice from his end. Silly tried to shoot in deep. Stopped there by Kane. Has a look up ice. Stops at neutral ice. Nice pass through to Alexander. Tried the move. Lost the handle. He'll pick it back up. Has Chapman driving towards the net. Turned aside by Silly again. Simple defensive poke check will clear this one away. 7 to play. St. Dom's just keeping the puck moving right now, Dave, and happy to...
Yeah, let the clock run.
They'll just sit back and let Edward Little dash their attacks against the rocks of the blue line. Pass dangerous as it crossed the center line area through their own defensive zone. Nearly a turnover forced. Good pressure from Sturgis. Carried out, though. Fletcher overran it. Has to race back in there, trying to muscle his way past Rodrigue. And they'll carry it back in. Fletcher flicks it past one. He's going to go for a rush himself. Has some speed and some room, but he's going to get quickly cut off. Tried to deke between the two players. Campbell got a stick in there to dispossess him. Little push from behind. Lewis in behind the goal line as those two still scrap with each other. Sturgis now carries out for Edward Little. Trying to get to the point. Turned aside from him. Kept in at the blue line by Pushard. Backhanded by Goslin. And Fletcher actually will reach and carry this one back out of the zone himself so his team can keep in possession. And that's just wasted another 60 seconds there. Nice job by Fuchs, who comes out and is so confident he doesn't mind messing around with the forwards in front, setting a little pick play, makes the save down low, and he'll cover up. When you're a goaltender and you're happy to mess around with a forward in front, wave your arms a little bit in front of his face, things like that, it shows that he's having fun and that he's probably a little bit bored as well because it's been about 3 minutes since he's had a shot before that moment. Young man from the Czech Republic is currently registered as a junior.
Just looking to see.
Something that head coach Bobby Parker, he didn't know for sure if how good the young man was going to be coming in. Found out late in the summer that he would be an option on the team. Started to learn a little bit more about him and was happy to have another player to compete for that starting job that was let go by Kyle Welsh when he graduated, of course. And with a lot of leadership roles needed for this team, they're happy to have somebody in between the pipes who is rock solid again, just like number 17 in black and white was last year for the Saints. They carry it away, the Saints do, and right down the middle, a shot wired wide to the glass by Michael Silly. Kept in by Phelan. Trying to get some help back there, or check that rather for St. Dom's, who had let that shot go. It was Matthew Fletcher, who had fired that one. Haven't seen too many shifts for the young man, number 1-8 on his back. Aaron Kane from his own goal line for Edward Little. Misplayed the pass, and everybody was circling back towards his own end. Icing again, so when you send the puck all the way down past the opposing team's goal line from your end of the center ice line, it results in a stoppage and a face-off back towards the team who iced the puck.
And another gray hair in Normie Gagne's head after a play like that.
Those are the things that drive a coach crazy when
unforced error.
You usually have just a miscommunication or a player who didn't have his head on a swivel looking for a passing option. Edward Little able to survive a misplayed shot, and they'll carry down the ice from the right wing boards. Chapman gets around his man, Jack Willett. He centers one in front, rode off the skates there of Noah Pratt, and almost nestled in the back of the net. That would have been an own goal, so to speak, as Pratt had no idea it was coming from behind him. As a little bit of a chance to mix in some of the other players. Backhand pass from behind the net from Alexander missed everybody at the point. Edward Little still looking for that first goal with under 4 minutes or under 5 minutes to go here, down to 4:20. They're still working. Alexander centers one in front. Chapman hit from behind. That's going to be a penalty coming up, and I think that's Jack Willett who'll go for the cross check. Jammed the player away from that front of the zone, but did it illegally.
That was the second one they could have called, I think. This one just before that. So this one they called, and Yale a chance to maybe get on the board at least. And, you know, they really have played much better in this third period.
Jack will let the freshman defenseman picking up the penalty there, and some room on the power play once again for Edward Little. 0 for 2 with the man advantage tonight. Ben Lane Robichaud going down low, gets it back from Cassidy. Those two play pass. Cassidy shot, glove save by Fuchsa. In and out, though, as he couldn't hang on. Cassidy back at the top of the right wing circle. That's where he sets up, goes to the sharp angle, and he's able to fire one right down the middle of the slot. And an easy enough save at the end of the day for Fuchsa, but Again, good movement with the open ice from Edward Little, and this has been a period, even if they don't score, I think you could say they can build momentum on this going forward.
No question. A goal would be nice, though, to really cement that they played well.
Face off from the near side circle, won by Thibodeau. Cassidy back to the point for Ben Lane Robichaud. Again, those two passing back and forth. Cassidy had it underneath his skates, fired from Ben Lane Robichaud, blocked. They'll look for Cassidy back at the right wing circle. Comes off the boards with it, tries to fire one, just missed the side of the net there. Gosselin in taking it off the back side of the net and trying to play it from his knees. Lost it, Keane out the side, and Perkins' shot caught the crest of the jersey for Fuchsa before it bounced away. And this one knocked out of play from the St. Dom's player. Did deflect from an Edward Little player, so it looks like they'll bring it outside the offensive zone.
But, again, that puck kind of rattled around. Could have just as easily gone in the net. It just sometimes it's puck luck.
Those bounces are sometimes unkind, and usually for the goaltenders, you'll talk about them making their own luck. If they've made enough big saves in a game, usually the hockey gods will reward them with a couple of lucky breaks sometimes, too. And a timeout's going to be taken here by Edward Little. So we're going to take a little pause ourselves. Quick 30-second timeout. We'll be back with you in just a moment. This is the MBR Game of the Week that you're watching on MBR.org and listening to it on 105.5 Maine's Big Z.
Falmouth Orthopedic Center. Central Maine Orthopedics. OA Centers for Orthopedics. All playing on the same team. Maine's top orthopedic practices have joined forces for more efficient and affordable orthopedic care. Introducing Spectrum Orthopedics.
Spectrum Healthcare Partners broadcast booth is where we're set up. Alongside Dave Wing, I'm Caleb Lamb. Happy to have you along with us for our MBR Game of the Week. Boys ice hockey matchup between St. Dom's and Edward Little in Class A North action between two of the rivals. The City of Auburn with the private school, the public schoolers going at it, both with their success and their traditions in ice hockey. St. Dom's second most championships in the state. Edward Little, though, will look back in pride that they have two more recent than the folks in black and white have gotten on their mantle, winning back-to-back in 03 and 04.
I think St. Dom's is the number one. Lewiston needs the one to tie them, I believe.
Am I getting that backwards? I knew
so.
It was one or the other.
I think so. I think I just read it somewhere that if Lewiston can win, they would tie.
Shot from the backhand, chance developed for Edward Little, just got sent wide by Cassidy as they still have 50 seconds remaining in the power play time. I would definitely defer to your judgment there, Coach Wing, and that is not a crack about your age or anything, I swear. This one sent down the ice as this will be cleared by Gosselin. No icing because of the penalty time that still remains, and Campbell will scoop behind his own net to pick it up for the Red Eddies. Looking for at least one goal to put on the score sheet here and get some good resolve for their hard work, but those are the plays that have put an end to their attack time and time again as offside they come.
Yeah, just mishandling the puck or poor passing have really hurt them tonight.
Perkins stopped right at the blue line. Thibodeau went flying past, expecting he would cross the blue line, and when he did not, he was offside.
So we want to know where this spare official, where he was hanging out when they called him.
Certainly not an easy thing to have to come and do, but glad to see somebody who was available to help us finish off this hockey game. An injury was picked up by one of our referees right before the end of the second period when an errant shot struck him in the side of the face, it appeared. And he had to go off, and we found out that he was not going to be able to continue. So hope that everything is A-OK there. Certainly got to love the officials who come and are more than willing to help out with high school games, even if they're qualified for more higher levels of play, like we've seen with a lot of our refs who help out with high school when they're not doing collegiate games. This one cleared for icing after the penalty time had expired. And with 2:07 to go in the third, face-off coming to the offensive zone for Edward Little.
This local board here, my son was a member when he was in high school, and they do a nice job of bringing officials along, having people ready. They have a clinic every Monday. They go over some films of things. What are you going to call here, that kind of thing, and I think it's a pretty good board.
As the way the advertisements go around the Norway Savings Bank Arena where we're here, they've got the two ice services, so they always have something or another going, whether it's men's league or youth league. They're looking for referees all the time, for people who are willing to come out, learn to police the sport, and help make sure that everything's played safe and fun for the players out there taking part. This so far has been a pretty good game. Chassis upended, lost a glove. He's going to go ahead and play on without it. Not to worry, as he won't be too cold. He'll just have to worry about getting his hand out of the way. And he's going to go straight to the bench to finish off the line change. Minute 30 remaining here. St. Dom's about to earn their third victory of the season. They have had a very tough test. They haven't had as many games to go as some of the other teams because of cancellations. They still had their game with Lewiston postponed. That one's going to be coming up later on January 1st. We'll have that broadcast for you as well. But 3 wins, a draw as well. Oh, and Feldman lost the puck, went behind him, and it did not go in.
Wow, he has had trouble with that kind of a shot, hasn't he?
Shot straight into his glove, but it caught the top part of it and just flickered into the air behind him. That's how we saw the second goal pretty much go in. Both the goals in the first period were rather soft. This time, though, a defenseman bails him out to make sure the scoreline didn't get to 5. Oh, my. Edward Little off the draw here is going to get this one out of the defensive zone, and I'll go back to sort of wrapping this one up rather in case another shot comes that could be a scoring chance. Down low behind the St. Dom's goal. Shot blocked back behind the net. Edward Little still going after a score themselves.
Guess they're not going to pull their goalie.
60 seconds remaining. Shot there from Landry, took a deflection, came back in front for Chapman. Shot, missed the net. Wraparound chance, fed back in front, and it's broken up by a host of white jerseys. They're just trying to protect the clean sheet and make it back-to-back shutout wins. This one's poked into the offensive zone. Chance towards the front of the net here, and Pelletier is ridden off the puck. Or excuse me, rather, that was Matthew Fletcher who had tried to get the chance and was steered away for Feldman to make sure that one stayed in the glove for a faceoff. Well, as I was mentioning, St. Dom's will have another challenge coming up here in just a couple of days when they take on Lewiston. But after earning a tie with Falmouth, the reigning runners-up, and having some very good hockey game matchups, they are a team that's going to be tested, I think, more than a lot of others in this one. Just that they will constantly, throughout their season, not really have a lull of more than one game or so before they have another highly touted team to play against.
Yep.
Timeout taken here. I believe it was by St. Dom's, which is interesting to see. And I wonder if we have a situation where towards the end of the Falmouth game, we saw penalties taken because of frustration, and they ended up hurting St. Dom's when they lost Captain Mac Pelletier for a game because of the hit towards the end. You'd have to imagine Bobby Parker has some keen words to, hey, if there's any chippy play, just let it go. We'll skate out of here with the win.
We're gonna get a win here, guys. Keep your nose clean. Otherwise, I'll set you down. I mean, I think you have to lay it out for them, what you're expecting, and so on. And I think in a rival game, that's good business.
What you need to do sometimes, especially for coaches, is make sure that everybody keeps playing hard, but that they don't go over the line or try anything to send a message or pay something back at the end of a hard-fought game.
Hockey players, for some reason, have this, I don't want to say payback mentality, but, you know, he hit me in the first period, I'm going to get even, and you gotta forget that.
Hockey players have been known to have long memories that go back not just throughout a game, but sometimes for years for the next time they find somebody that they had a run-in with. 30 seconds to play here. Edward Little's going to get this one out of their zone, and they'll carry up ice through Rodrigue. He flips in deep. Straight after it he goes. In behind the net, Fuchs plays it himself again. Got this one back to the point. Morneau tees off on one, blocked in front. Nice job there by Matt Fletcher, who got in the way to steer it aside. Still in the offensive zone for the Red Eddies. 10 seconds to go. Tied up along the far side boards. It's a two-a-side scrum. Rodrigue trying to come out of the corner with it, or Morneau, check that, who finds Rodrigue behind the net. They're kept aside, and that's going to do it. 4-0 shutout win, and Fuchs goes on top of the net to celebrate with his teammates. That is a good one to see, and not one that's uncommon in the reaches of European hockey, and he will get the congratulations all the way around for a fantastic performance.
Yeah, he played very well, didn't he?
Made save after save in that second period when it looked like Edward Little was going to find a way back in.
Yeah, Edward Little really turned it up after the stoppage, and he was equal to the task. He made all the saves. He did a little mini interfering when the puck went behind the net. He did a quality job to keep this game a shutout.
Ben Feldman bounced back himself and had a very strong second and third period after a shaky start to things, and the senior leads his team through the handshakes as these teams separate. So another rivalry matchup comes to a close between St. Dom's and Edward Little. The Saints skate away with a 4-0 victory, but this one was perhaps a game that the scoreline doesn't tell the whole story. We'll see how both these teams respond from things going forward. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we will wrap things up for you. This is our MBR Game of the Week. You're on MBR.org, and you're listening to it on 105.5 Maine's Big Z.
From the front office staff to the medical technicians and the doctors, we're all playing on the same team. Discover Spectrum Healthcare Partners and the power of integrated specialty care.
All aboard MBR.org, the place to get all your high school and amateur sports news and information. MBR.org is in high gear with Maine high school winter sports. Go to MBR.org to chat about your favorite team. Find the latest articles, travel news, and cancellations. Or visit their all-new and very popular team pages. MBR.org has everything you want to know about high school and amateur sports in Maine. Coming in February, all the high school tournament action at your fingertips 24/7. It's high school sports heaven. All aboard MBR.org.
Winter People Athletics creates custom athletic apparel, including team uniforms and spirit wear. They support team sports programs by offering a variety of clothing and other merchandise which can be personalized with team logos, player numbers, and names, and various other options. They can also provide innovative custom screen printing and embroidered apparel to create fun and engaging fan and booster items to sell for your team fundraising efforts. Call Steve Haynes, Athletic Apparel Consultant, at 207-869-6019 or online at winterpeople.com.
Back inside the Spectrum Healthcare Partners broadcast booth, alongside Dave Wing, I'm Caleb Lamb, wrapping up coverage of our MBR Game of the Week. 4-0 win for St. Dom's over Edward Little. Let's recap the scoring for you. This got going just 1:14 in, but not in the way people expected. A shot from a relatively harmless-looking area along the ice, and a shot that went up off the shoulder of Ben Feldman and in behind everybody. It took a few seconds before anyone realized the puck had crossed the goal line for a 1-0 lead. And it got a little bit worse in that first period for the Red Eddies. Midway through the frame, freshman Lucas Pichard crossed the center ice line, got over the blue line, let a shot go that was blocked nearly right in front of him, but it had enough momentum to flutter through the air and ended up over the glove of Ben Feldman and behind him for a 2-0 lead. He bounced back well, though, the senior netminder. A couple of strong stops in that second period, but he could not keep out a rebound goal from Will Fletcher, his second of the game, as he banged home a backhand shot after some great work from Jacob Lewis down low to create the opportunity. Just 13 seconds later, breakaway opportunity put away by Zach Pelletier, who went off the iron on the glove side and in for the 4-0 final scoreline as it turned out. Gaston Fuchsa in net for St. Dom's made sure it stayed up that way, as he had a bunch of good saves throughout the second and third period, and St. Dom's rode their strong defense to back-to-back shutout victories. Now, next up for them, they've got Lewiston on January, a New Year's Eve game where they will have to try and shake off the disappointment of not getting a crack at the Blue Devils before the Red Eddies, with that game having been snowed out. Edward Little, meanwhile, picks up their second loss of the season, and they will now turn their attention to their next matchup, where they will take on the combo team of Poland, Grey New Gloucester, Oak Hill, and Levitt, the co-op squad, and I believe that one will be right here at Norway Savings Bank Arena as well. So, Dave, fun one here. Good hits, good skating, a lot of good saves, and a few good goals as well, and I think all the fans that showed up here, a standing room only crowd at Norway Savings Bank Arena, went home having seen a good hockey game.
Yeah, good hockey game, good crowd. Clearly, St. Dom's goalie was the difference. I think St. Dom's held their own early, and then really EL took over in that crazy end of the second period, start of the third period, where we had the official was hurt and we had a delay and whatever. I thought they had the clear quality shots. They had the advantage in play in the offensive zone. But again, St. Dom's held them at bay. They blocked some shots. They had a couple lucky deflections. They had a great goalie saves, and really that was the difference. I think had they put a couple in early that looked like they might go in, now we're talking a 4-2 game, and quite frankly, you take away those 2 soft goals to begin the game, we've got ourselves a game that's going right down to the wire. So hard to say what those teams will look like when we see them later in the season, and I'm sure we will. Nam Gagne's team will continue to improve. They played a lot of young kids last year. Really, they played everybody when you think about it. So I think he comes in with a great reputation of building teams, and I think he'll do that. And so down at the end of the season, it's hard to say what these 2 teams will look like.
It's a month away before we'll see them face off again on January 31st when Edward Little will host St. Dom's right here at the same building, which they share together.
It'll look a lot like it did tonight.
But it should be a fun one nonetheless. So again, we'll have you for our next broadcast coming up a couple of days from now, a New Year's Day matinee with a evening game featuring the Lewiston Blue Devils, the reigning back-to-back champs, who will take on this St. Dom's squad, who will see themselves vault up towards the second place in the standings, now at 3-1-1 on the year. Again, your final score, St. Dom's 4, Edward Little nothing. That's going to wrap things up. For my broadcast partner, Dave Wing, and big thanks to our producers today, Tyler and Alex. Thanks for joining us. This has been coverage of the MBR Game of the Week here on MBR.org and 105.5 Maine's Big Z.